Okay, so I'd like you to welcome for the hackathon, and I'll give you a brief overview. As Evangelist explained, there are two ways of developing Axons. One is the native, and one is the web views. So for me, I'll give you a brief introduction. I'll keep it very fast. I'll talk about developing a native Android Axon and the steps to do it. Probably you already seen this document, and the number one, the prerequisites, since you're working on Android native apps, so you need to have some understanding of Android development, and probably people who are working on the Android development will already have some information about that. And again, you need to have some information about the Android services and the Android interface definition language. The Android services are basically background applications that run in the background of an Android application that does not require an UI, and it performs long running tasks, right? And the Android bound services allow you to connect an external application can connect to a service that is already running. So the entire concept of Android application is based on that, right? And lastly, the Android interface definition language, or the AIDL, actually defines the interface wherein your client or your application can connect to the Nervousnet application as such. So the AIDL actually represents the methods or the functions that can be used by you to interact with the Nervousnet mobile applications as such. So in terms of tools, we actually out here work with the Android Eclipse and the Android plugin. So anyone who's interested in using the Android Studio can also use it. Only thing is he'll have to import the project onto the Android Studio, right? And the Java docs, again, I put up the Java docs on GitHub, and you can see all the APIs. Now in this, the Nervousnet remote interface is the important method wherein it acts as an interface. All the methods that are defined in the interface, you can use that in your application to connect to a Nervousnet mobile application, right? And again, the source code is again put up at the Nervousnet GitHub repository. The Nervousnet library project, this is important because when you're developing your own applications, you'll have to import this Nervousnet library project, because that is the main part of the Nervousnet mobile application, where it defines all the AIDL methods that are required for Nervousnet development. So you can use that methods inside that. So again, importing, you only have to import this project, and importing is easy in Android Studio. So other than that, you'll keep your Android application as it is. You'll develop your application, only include the Nervousnet lib application into that, right? And to make it easy, you have some sample applications. It's called the sample native applications. You can find a light meter, SLO meter, and a noise meter on the GitHub. So you can refer to that. In the SLO meter, I have actually specified some comments where in step 1, step 2, and step 3. So that will make it easier for you to develop it, right? And again, the steps, I've already mentioned that in the SLO meter application. So what you can do is, number one, you have to create your own project. Step 0, forget about number 1. Step 0, you need to come up with an idea, develop your own project in the Android Studio, and then you start with the step 1, wherein you include the Nervousnet lib project, and then in the step 2, you actually create a Nervousnet remote service. Now, and in the step 3, you create a service connection. The moment you can create a service connection and you call this new service connection, you get a connection. The moment you're connected, you get an object back, the iBinder service. Now this is required. So you need to assign it to the M service object that you define in step 2, right? And once you get the M service object, you can actually call the interface, and then you get the light reading objects. If you in terms of the APIs, you have multiple objects like methods like get light reading, get SLO meter reading. To get that, you need the M service object. And once you get the light reading, the reading objects, you can actually use that object to manipulate. Say if you want the SLO meter reading, what you do is you get the SLO meter reading object in this part, and you call the SLO meter.get X, get Y, and get Z, and you get the real-time values of the SLO meter sensors, right? That's how you do it. And if you want the light readings, you again have the get lux value that gives you the luminous value of the light. sensor. And finally, again, in the Java doc or the Nervousnet remote interface, it defines all the methods that we are defined right now that you can use, but we have to, the idea is to implement a lot more methods, but that's a future discourse actually. So, and finally, you need to disconnect from the connection. You need to call context unbind service, and this would disconnect your client with our Nervousnet application. And for examples, you can look at the Google Play Store, and all these applications are temporarily released in the App Store, so you can give it a try with that. I think, yeah, that's it from my side for the Android, and probably Lewin can give you a better explanation about the iOS app.